The night the bride reached Dry Fork, Jonah Vale had already decided he would not love her. He stood alone under the freight awning, with a lantern in one hand and a folded tintype in the other, watching snow move across the Idaho mountains like ash from a cold fire. The stage was late, the road was nearly gone, and the woman in the photograph was nothing more to him than an answer to work he could no longer carry alone. A wife for the stove, a wife for the laundry, a wife for the long winter chores that had begun to feel heavier than any saddle. Not a wife for his heart. That part of him had been nailed shut years ago. When the coach finally rolled in, no one stepped out at first. Then the door opened, and a woman climbed down with one gloved hand on the rail and one black tin trunk dragging behind her. She was not dressed like a bride. No white ribbon, no hopeful flowers. Only a dark wool traveling dress, boots crusted with frozen mud, and brown hair pinned too carefully for a woman who had crossed half the country. She looked straight at Jonah, not shy, not bold, just tired enough to have no room left for pretending. "You are Mr. Vale?" "I am." "My name is Miriam Calder." "I know." He took the black tin trunk from her hand. It was heavier than he expected. For a moment, he wondered what kind of woman brought a trunk that heavy to a marriage she had never seen. Then he set it on the pack horse and turned away before the question could become conversation. "You'll ride behind me," he said. Miriam nodded once. The trail climbed out of Dry Fork and into timber so dark the trees seemed to swallow the lantern light. Miriam sat behind him, holding the back of the saddle instead of wrapping her arms around his waist. The space between them was less than a foot. It felt like a whole county. Snow struck Jonah's hat brim. Ice gathered along the horse's mane. Behind them, the last window light from town disappeared. Miriam did not ask how far. Jonah did not offer. By the time the cabin appeared, the moon had turned the clearing silver. It was a plain place, built from dark pine logs, with a slanting porch, one chimney, and a barn leaning against the wind, like an old man refusing to fall. Inside, the room was clean. Too clean. Every chair sat exactly square. Every tin cup hung on its own nail. Every shelf looked as if nothing had been touched unless duty required it. Jonah set her trunk beside the bed in the small back room. "This is yours," he said. "I sleep in the loft." Miriam looked at the narrow bed, then at him. "You don't have to." "I do." The answer was not harsh. That made it worse. Supper was salt pork, beans, and coffee black enough to float a nail. Jonah waited until Miriam took the first bite before he lifted his fork. She noticed. He noticed that she noticed. Neither one said a word. After supper, Miriam opened the black tin trunk. Jonah pretended to bank the fire, but his eyes followed her hands. He expected dresses. He expected a Bible. He expected the small, soft things women carried when they were trying to turn a house into a home. Instead, the first thing she took out was a square of yellow oilcloth, embroidered with tiny sunflowers. She smoothed it across the rough table. Jonah went still. For 3 breaths, he looked at the cloth, as if it had made a sound. Then he turned back to the stove. Miriam did not ask why. Later, when the lamp burned low, she took out paper, a bottle of ink, and a slim leather ledger, tied with red string. Her handwriting moved across the page with a clean, practiced certainty. Jonah saw it from the loft through a gap between the boards. Those were not the letters of a woman who had spent her whole life bending over washtubs. Those letters belonged to an office, a courthouse, a man who knew how papers could become weapons. Jonah lay awake long after the lamp went out. The woman downstairs had brought a heavy trunk, a sunflower cloth, and the hand of a clerk, and she had told him almost nothing. Morning came under a hard frost. Before sunrise, the stove was already hot. Coffee waited beside Jonah's chair. Miriam stood at the wash basin with sleeves rolled to her elbows, as if she had lived there for years and had only been gone one night. Jonah picked up the cup. He drank it. Then he carried the axe outside without a word. That became the shape of their days. Miriam cooked, Jonah worked. Miriam mended, Jonah hauled water. Miriam swept the cabin corners where dust had settled like old regret. Jonah checked the barn door twice before sleep, checked the rifle above the mantel, checked the latch on Miriam's room, then climbed to the loft as if the floor might give way beneath any softer feeling. She never asked why, but she saw everything. She saw that he kept one chair at the table empty. She saw that he never touched the blue enamel cup on the top shelf. She saw that every Sunday morning before breakfast, he stood at the edge of the meadow with his hat in his hand. And she saw how quickly he looked away whenever sunlight fell across the yellow cloth. The first true storm came in the third week. It moved down from the ridge before dusk and erased the yard in less than an hour. By nightfall, the barn was a shadow behind snow. The trail to the lower pasture vanished. The wind hit the cabin so hard the lamp flame bent. Jonah had gone out before noon to bring 2 stray steers back from the creek draw. He had not returned. Miriam reheated stew until the beans turned soft. Then she stopped pretending she was only keeping supper warm. She put on her cloak, opened the door, and called his name into the storm. The wind threw it back. She had just reached for the rifle when the door burst inward. Jonah stumbled through, white with snow, one hand clamped against his ribs. His hat was gone. Blood darkened the sleeve beneath his coat. "I'm all right," he said. Miriam did not answer. She shut the door, pushed the bar into place, and pointed to the chair. "Sit." His eyes narrowed. "I said I'm all right." "And I heard you lie." For the first time since she arrived, Jonah obeyed her. She cut away the torn sleeve. The wound was not deep, but the cold had made him clumsy and pale. She washed it with boiled water while he stared at the wall. When the water touched raw skin, his hand shot out and gripped the table. Miriam laid her fingers over his knuckles. "Hold still." He looked down at her hand. So did she. Neither of them moved for a moment. Outside, the storm kept beating the roof. Inside, something quieter broke open. When she finished tying the bandage, Miriam poured coffee into the blue enamel cup from the top shelf and set it before him without thinking. Jonah's face changed. The room seemed to lose all sound. Miriam saw the mistake too late. "I can get another." "No." His voice was rough. "Leave it." He wrapped both hands around the cup as though it still belonged to someone warm. "My first wife used that cup." Miriam stood very still. Jonah looked into the coffee. Her name was Ruth. The wind pressed against the walls. She died in a snow fever 12 winters ago. I rode for a doctor, got pinned down by the same kind of storm. By the time I came back, the fire was out. He swallowed once. I buried her behind the meadow. After that, I kept the house just how she left it, because I didn't know what else a man was supposed to keep. Miriam did not offer comfort too quickly. She had learned that some grief bites the hand that reaches for it. So she only said, "I'm sorry." Jonah nodded, but his eyes stayed on the cup. That night, he did not climb to the loft until the fire had burned low, and when he passed Miriam's door, he paused longer than usual. Not to guard it, to let himself want to. The storm trapped them for 11 days. The world outside became white and soundless. Fence posts disappeared. The creek froze under a sheet of cloudy glass. Even the barn looked farther away than it was. They learned each other in the small ways winter forces on people. Jonah learned that Miriam hummed only when she forgot someone might hear. Miriam learned that Jonah carved little shavings from scrap pine when his thoughts were troubled. He learned that she liked her coffee with more sugar than she admitted. She learned that his right knee stiffened in deep cold, though he tried to hide it by rising before dawn. One afternoon, she found him in the barn, struggling to lift a grain sack that should have been easy for him. "Leave it," she said. "I've lifted worse." Not with torn stitches. He looked at her with irritation that had no strength behind it. "You always talk like you're reading from a judge's bench." Miriam smiled faintly. "I used to copy records for one." That stopped him. She tied the sack smaller, split the weight, and handed him half. "My father was a county clerk in Missouri. He taught me letters before he taught me cooking. I copied deeds, probate papers, tax ledgers. Later my husband said a wife had no need for that kind of work." Jonah lifted the smaller sack. "Did you believe him?" Miriam's smile disappeared. "For a while." That evening, she wrote in her ledger again. Jonah did not spy from the loft this time. He sat across from her at the table and sharpened a harness awl while the lamp burned between them. "What do you write?" he asked. "Things I need to remember." "About this place?" "About myself." The awl stopped. Miriam folded the ledger closed. "My husband was not cruel in the way people notice. He never struck me. He never raised his voice in town. He simply made a room feel empty while I was standing in it." Jonah's face tightened. "When he died, everyone said I was fortunate. They meant I was free. But freedom is a strange thing when you have forgotten how to take up space." The fire cracked. Jonah looked toward the yellow cloth on the table. "Ruth made sunflowers out of flour sacks once," he said. "Curtains. Brightest thing in this room." "I can put the cloth away." "No." He spoke too quickly, then softer. "No. It should stay." After that, the cabin did not change all at once. It changed like thaw. A second cup left on the table. A chair pulled closer to the fire. A repaired hinge on Miriam's bedroom door. Fresh shelves in the pantry. A lamp placed lower so she could write without straining her eyes. No declarations. No promises. Only small proof offered daily by two people who did not yet trust words enough to spend them. Spring came with the sound of water moving under ice. For the first time in months, Dry Fork could be reached without a shovel. Mud sucked at wagon wheels. The meadow showed strips of brown grass. Green pushed through in shy, stubborn blades near the cabin steps. Jonah and Miriam planted beans behind the house. He pressed the rows too deep. She told him so. He disagreed. She was right. For one rare second, he laughed. It startled both of them. A week later, 3 riders came up the road. Jonah saw the dust first, then the men. The one in front wore a city coat too fine for the mud and carried a leather tube under his arm. Behind him rode a deputy and a young man with survey chains looped over his saddle. Miriam stood on the porch with a dish towel in her hands. Jonah walked out to meet them. The man in the city coat removed his hat as if manners could soften the knife. "Mr. Jonah Vale?" "You found him." "My name is Orrin Pike. I represent the Blackthorn Cattle Company." Jonah's shoulders hardened. Pike unrolled a paper. "This upper water and the east meadow have been transferred under delinquent tax sale. Blackthorn intends to fence the creek crossing before the month is out." For a moment, only the horses moved. Jonah stared at the paper. "That land is mine." Pike gave him a sad little smile. "Was yours. The county record says otherwise." He handed Jonah a copy of the filing. Miriam saw Jonah's jaw work once. She had seen men receive bad news before. Bad news made some men shout. It made Jonah go silent. That was worse. The deputy shifted in his saddle. "I'm only here to serve notice." Jonah looked toward the east meadow. The creek ran through it. Without that water, the cabin was still a cabin, but the ranch was dead. Pike rolled the paper back into its tube. "You have 10 days to vacate the disputed ground. If you resist the fencing crew, the sheriff will answer." Then he turned his horse and rode away, leaving the notice in Jonah's hand like a lit match. That night, the cabin became colder than winter had ever made it. Jonah spread the papers across the table but did not read them. He looked at the lines as if anger alone could burn them clean. Miriam washed her hands, dried them, and sat down. "Let me see. It's company law. It's paper." He looked at her. And paper can lie. She read the notice once, then again. Then she took out her ledger, dipped her pen, and began writing names, dates, and filing marks in a narrow column. Jonah watched her. The woman who had arrived with a black tin trunk was gone. In her place sat someone still and exact. Someone whose hands knew where truth hid when men tried to bury it in ink. "This seal is wrong," she said. Jonah leaned closer. "The filing says Lemhi County, but Dry Fork records were held under Custer County until the boundary change. They used the wrong stamp." She touched another line. "This transfer claims a tax sale in October of '82. "We paid taxes in '82. "Can you prove it?" The question struck him harder than accusation. He stood, crossed to the wall shelf, and pulled down a cedar box he had not opened in years. His fingers hesitated on the latch. Miriam lowered her eyes. "You don't have to do that in front of me." "I do." Inside were Ruth's ribbons, 2 letters, a small Bible, and a folded bundle of receipts tied with blue thread. Jonah lifted the bundle as if it weighed more than iron. Miriam did not touch the letters. She took only the receipts he handed her. One by one, she matched dates. Tax payment, January 82. Water ditch assessment, April 83. Survey fee, signed and witnessed. Then she found the third thing. A name. Caleb Wren, she whispered. Jonah frowned. What? The tax sale witness. Caleb Wren. He was the blacksmith in Dry Fork, died in the flood. When? 81. Miriam tapped the company paper. Then he could not witness a sale in October of 82. Jonah looked at the page as if it had opened a door. They forged it. Not carelessly, Miriam said. Confidently. There is a difference. By dawn, she had built a case on the kitchen table. Not a loud case, a quiet one. Wrong county seal, dead witness, paid tax receipt, water assessment. A survey line shifted 40 rods uphill to steal the creek. 6 pieces of proof laid in order. Jonah stared at them until sunrise touched the window. I would have given up if you hadn't seen it. Miriam capped the ink. No, you would have fought. I don't know how to fight paper. She looked at him then. That's why I came with a heavy trunk. The hearing filled the county room 3 days later. Farmers stood shoulder to shoulder along the back wall. Ranch wives gathered near the windows. Blackthorn's men took the front bench with clean boots and polished confidence. Orrin Pike did not look worried. Men like him trusted paper because paper usually trusted them back. Jonah stood beside Miriam at the long table. His hat was in his hands. Hers were steady on the leather folder. Judge Alden Reed called the matter. Pike spoke first. He talked about progress. He talked about lawful purchase. He talked about idle land serving no one while cattle markets grew and eastern buyers wanted beef. He never once looked toward the creek map. Then the judge turned to Jonah. Mr. Vale, do you contest the filing? Jonah opened his mouth. Nothing came. Every eye in the room waited for the silent rancher to fail. Miriam stood. He does. A rustle moved through the room. Pike's smile sharpened. And you are? Miriam Vale. The name hit Jonah quietly. She had not used it aloud before. His fingers tightened around his hat. Miriam laid the first receipt before the judge. This record shows county tax paid on the disputed meadow in January of 1882. The second paper. This shows water ditch assessment paid in April of 1883. The third. This survey predates Blackthorn's claim and places the creek crossing inside Mr. Vale's deeded line. Pike stood. Your Honor, the lady is not an attorney. No, Miriam said. I am a woman who can read dates. A murmur broke along the back wall. The judge lifted his hand for silence, but his mouth almost moved into a smile. Miriam placed Blackthorn's filing beside the original records. The company claim uses a county seal not yet active at the time they say it was filed. It lists a witness who had been dead more than a year, and it moves the old survey line uphill by 40 rods, which would place the creek in Blackthorn's pasture instead of ours. Ours. There it was again. Small word, heavy as a beam. Judge Reed bent over the papers. The room went still enough for Miriam to hear the clock tick. Orrin Pike's face changed. Not much, just enough. One of the survey men behind him took off his hat and stared at the floor. The judge looked up. "Mr. Pike, can you explain how a dead man witnessed your tax sale?" Pike cleared his throat. "I would have to consult the company office." "I believe you will." The judge set the papers down. "Until then, this court rejects Blackthorn's claim. The East Meadow and Upper Water remain with the Vale property. I'm also directing the sheriff to examine the company's filing for fraud." For several seconds, no one moved. Then the back of the room erupted. Not with celebration, with relief. The sound of men and women who knew how easily a creek, a meadow, a home could be taken when the wrong paper carried the right seal. Outside, Jonah stopped beside the hitching rail. The sky was bright enough to hurt. He turned to Miriam. "I called you here because I needed hands." She looked down at the mud on her boots. "I know. I was wrong." Miriam lifted her eyes. Jonah's voice broke only slightly. "I needed a witness. I needed someone who could see what was still alive in this place, when I couldn't." She said nothing, because the words had gone too deep for quick reply. So Jonah reached for her hand. Not because anyone was watching, not because law had made them husband and wife, because his hand had finally learned where it wanted to be, and Miriam let him take it. Summer came warm and green. The east meadow filled with grass so thick the cattle disappeared to their knees. The creek ran clear over stone. Beans climbed poles behind the cabin. Neighbors stopped by more often, and for the first time in years, smoke from Jonah Vale's chimney meant company was welcome, not merely that a man was still alive. The cabin changed, too. Not into a grand house. Something better. A lived-in one. Miriam's ledger rested openly near the lamp. Jonah's carving knife lay beside it. The yellow sunflower cloth stayed on the table, stained now with coffee rings, flour, ink, and one small burn from the morning Jonah tried to cook biscuits and nearly smoked them into coal. The blue enamel cup returned to daily use, not as a shrine, as a cup. One evening, when the light had gone honey-colored over the ridge, Jonah came in from the barn carrying something wrapped in a feed sack. Miriam sat at the table, copying a clean version of the water records for the cedar box. He set the bundle before her. "I made this badly the first time." She untied the string. Inside lay a small carved meadowlark. Its wings were folded close, but its head was lifted, as if it had just heard spring under the snow. Miriam held it carefully. "It's not bad." "It is better than the first one." "What happened to the first one?" Jonah looked toward the stove. "Threw it in the fire." She laughed softly. He watched her, as if the sound had opened every window in the house. Then he said, "I thought grief was a room a man had to keep locked, or else everything inside would disappear." Miriam ran her thumb along the carved wing. "And now?" "Now I think a locked room doesn't keep love safe. It just keeps mourning out." Miriam's eyes filled, but she smiled through it. "I spent years believing quiet meant I did not matter." Jonah reached across the table. "You matter here." She placed the meadowlark between them, then gave him her hand. Outside, the creek moved through the darkening meadow. The barn settled. The stove warmed the room, and the house Jonah had built to hold his sorrow became the place where tomorrow could finally enter.